Hey everybody, welcome to Crackpot, the podcast where each and every week we dive into a different conspiracy theory and discuss the merits or demerits of each. What do you think of that? What'd you think?
Super good, man.
We are your hosts. I'm Tim.
And
you're Zach.
Zachary. What's up?
How's it going? Man?
You know what's funny? We were just commenting on this. So we're recording in the evening, and it's still a little light out.
It is after 5 o'clock, and the sun has not completely set. It's amazing.
And what depresses me is the fact that as soon as you walk out that door, it's going to be dark.
Yeah.
So we're squandering this precious daylight.
It's whatever.
But it does get me in the mood for, the calendar turning, the passage of time.
Well, January's behind us, and we all know how I feel about January.
Woo!
Yes,
dude. But is Feb feeling any better?
Just psychologically, yes, because I was able to literally turn the calendar over to February.
Yeah, okay.
So, but no. At the end of the day, no. It's still just as dark and dreary and cold and everything else.
But, I do have a sincere question that sounds like a little, conspiracy theory that I just hatched up right now.
Oh, go on.
Do you remember last year it being light this late?
No, I don't.
I don't either.
I don't. It seems I thought that it stayed dark through the end of February, and then March was when it's like, oh yes, the sun's still up at 5:22 p.m.
Yes, I've been living here for 20 years.
Sure.
I'm 20 right now.
You're 20. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thanks. Hey, yeah, there we go. It's probably coming out right around the time of my birthday. Thanks for all the gifts and love letters. Appreciate it.
But no, yeah, that's weird. I don't know. Maybe something's happening.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Maybe we're slipping into that other dimension.
Yeah, which could be real.
Different parallel universe. Save that for a different show. But no, this week, Zach, we're talking not about dimensions. We're talking about
time. Time is relative.
Time. That's my...
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Louder. No, we're talking about a couple of different conspiracy theories all related to time. First half of the show, that was weird. Ghost, probably. First half of the show, we're talking about... Wait for it.
Time.
Phantom time. Which is a really pretentious name for what it is.
It is, but I like it.
It's super misleading.
That's why I like it, though.
But the theory is also very interesting.
Okay.
The second half of the show, part 2.
Part 2.
I almost said that, by the way. I'm glad I didn't. It was you.
Yeah.
You look like a fool.
Good.
Is about time travelers in history.
Go on.
Well, we've talked about
time travelers.
A very famous time traveler.
John Titor.
Yeah. And actually, check out Rochester Magazine.
Seriously, we were featured. Well, we were not. I don't want to hype it up too much for those of you that live in the Rochester area. Rochester, Minnesota. Thank you very much.
Yeah, not the fake one in New York.
You're right. Home of the world famous Mayo Clinic. Thank you very much. But they do a monthly, a weekly. I don't even know how often that publication comes out. They did a big front page article on John Titor because if you don't know about John Titor, folks, pause this. Go listen to that. Come back. Welcome back. It was great. Am I right? Front page article about John Titor and our one and only Jake the producer was quoted in there. It's a really good episode. I don't want to harp on it too much, but
it's great.
Really like that. And also, we talked about time slips, which are not the things that you hand in at the end of the week to get paid.
Yeah. I never thought of it that way, actually.
Get your time slip into me.
Yes.
But no, I mean, seriously, just those weird occurrences when people just randomly show up and see Marie Antoinette in her garden. Like very sane, normal, rational people doing sane, normal, rational things. All of a sudden, apparently jump through time.
And it makes no sense.
It makes no sense. And I'm not here to say it's real or not, except the episode is really good.
Mm-hmm. Hey-o.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Check out the news at 5:30.
All right.
Yeah, wow. This is going off the rails real fast. Phantom time, Zach. Let's bring it back.
Let's talk about it
What's
first.
going on? What does it mean?
Yeah.
What does it mean to me as a gentleman living in the year 2021?
Yes. What it means is, so the term phantom time is referring to a theory that's been bandied about that indeed part of the Middle Ages were fabricated.
What does that mean?
In other words,
what does that mean?
Simply put, the year 614 to 911, right? AD. Were fake. Did not exist.
That someone just like slipped the years like in the middle.
Exactly. So this phantom time theory or hypothesis, whatever you want to call it, was actually put forward by a person by the name of Herbert Illig. And what he said was the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, Pope Sylvester II, and the Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII fabricated the history books, literally rewrote history in such a way as to make a couple hundred years disappear. So they went from the year roughly 611 all of a sudden up to the year like 1000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say I don't know if I believe it yet, but I believe it could happen.
Well, it gets you thinking about this, which
it's
is
like who's got the tearaway a day, quote, word of the day calendar, right? Who's going down to the Hallmark store and buying the next Snoopy calendar, for 632 and 633? It's like I joke, but it's like it almost seems like it could happen, maybe.
Well, I made the joke before on the show, which is like, what did they do before the year 0 when they're just like, yeah, we're living in the year, minus 750. Yeah, it's like, who cares?
Sure.
But your point about time being, throughout human history being represented in different ways is actually really super interesting to think about. And as a person, even as a kid, I remember thinking like, how did they really know?
How do we know we're in 1980, whatever? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so the broader concept of somehow, misaccounting or intentionally unaccounting for years, it doesn't sound that far off or that unbelievable.
That's really weird though.
But what, the motive to do so, like you'd be wondering why on earth would these figures actually want to fudge the historic record. And what Herbert Illig asserted was that, for one, they wanted to, in essence, rule during a cooler sounding time. They wanted to rule
really?
In the year 1000.
They wanted these 600 suck. It'd be so much cooler if we were in 1000. We could say we're in 1000.
Well, you can laugh.
Cool coins we could make.
We can laugh about this, but I remember as being in 1998 being like, man, I wish it was 2000. Like, give me the round up, baby.
You're exactly right.
Heck, in 2020, I was really wishing it was 2021.
Why is that?
Exactly. So why would they do this? Part number one, it sounds way cooler to be ruling in the year 1000 versus 613 or whatever. Point number two, and this is actually really super interesting, is that it was said that in doing so, the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III may have a more credible heir to the throne and really kind of like legitimize his role as king.
Interesting.
So, okay. To be honest with you, the motive's not that strong.
Well, I mean, if you're trying to maintain power, I guess it's strong, but...
Yeah, and that's a good point too, right? Because you have these bad actors, more or less, or people kind of truly conspiring to assert this kind of a theory.
Actual conspiracy theory.
In the truest sense of the term. So that's really cool. But then when you talk about how would you do this, or like why... Rewriting the calendar I can get and saying, we miscalculated. Okay, it's really the year 1000. But that we'll talk about the fancy math that goes into that in a little bit here. But really, the theory that's put forward by Herbert Illig really asserts the fact that like from the year 600-ish to about 900-ish, there's very little archaeological evidence that can be reliably dated to that time.
Okay.
And that to me is really interesting.
Okay.
So, what kind of stuff? We have things from 1000 2,000 years ago. And apparently there's kind of this little window in there in which there isn't much else.
Oh, fascinating. Okay, because I mean, honestly, if I can show my true American public education ignorance here, like not a lot happened before 1492.
Fair enough.
As far as but like I joke, but like honestly, before that, it's like Crusades, Middle Ages, Renaissance, somewhere in the mix. I'm not 100% sure.
That's exactly my brain. It's like the Rolodex thing.
Okay, then I go back further. I'm like, oh wait, okay, there was like the Council of Nicene, and like I think that was like 400-ish, and we all know what happened 400 years before that. But like, what the heck happened between 600 and 1,000? Damned if I know.
Apparently nothing noteworthy. I mean, it's like
right.
There's very little, archaeological, like major artifacts from that time.
Wow. Okay. Well, now this is kind of getting interesting.
That's actually way more interesting. But here's the thing, though, too. So, Tim, should I be bringing up the counterpoints to these now?
I don't want to hear any counterpoint. Wait, do the math for me quick. What year would we be in if this were true?
I believe it's 1724. I mean, it's 300 years off, right? So
happy 1724.
Hey, all right. We're almost
finally,
the country.
1723 is behind us. Yes. God.
Well said. Very well said. So, okay, where I'm going with this is point number one, from a kind of factual standpoint.
Yeah.
Apparently missing some pieces of the archaeological record. Hard to say archaeological on a podcast. That's also missing from my vocabulary. The next piece of evidence put forward by our dear friend Herbert Illig is the fact that you had the Roman Empire, which more or less ended around the 4th century. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And yet there were ruins, Roman architectural ruins, well into the 10th century of Western Europe, implying that, it's probably, it's not the right year.
Okay. How could those archaeological ruins actually survive that long?
And also,
unless they're not actually as old as we think they are.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well said.
Okay.
There we go.
Fascinating.
Okay.
Fascinating.
Now, to kind of go back, and I want to break down the third point in all of its glory, which is this fancy math, fancy calendaring. So I want to get to that later, but let's go back and revisit the first 2 points and just say, what are the counterpoints? Because,
okay.
Which is too bad, because it's like, I actually really want, I don't know why I want this to be true, but it sounds cool.
Because it's cool.
Yeah.
It'd
be sweet.
Yep. Maybe.
Although it's not even really the year 2021 anyway, so what difference does it make? But to me, it seems, I mean,
What do you mean?
Well, it's so arbitrary in terms of when you technically, like when you start day one. I mean, the Earth is what?
Oh, you want to have that
billions
conversation?
Of years old?
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Who cares? I'm just rambling. Okay, so going back to this archaeological evidence or lack of archaeological evidence piece, right? Mm-hmm. It's true that while there aren't a lot of surviving pieces of evidence, of course, globally outside of Europe, there are.
Oh, yeah. The rest of the world.
Yeah. China, obviously very famous for its record keeping, going back, thousands of years. Yeah. Really. Yeah. In fact, complete with, very accurate, very detailed calendars. And so when you look at that, you say, yeah, sure, maybe because it's, 1,400 years later, we don't have as many vases. We don't have some of the same structures that they, those are missing, right? Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, of course, when they're over 1,000 years old, you're not going to find as many.
Right.
However, the accounting systems and historical events that took place outside of Europe were well documented elsewhere. So that's kind of point number one.
It's kind of a big point.
That's a very big point.
Not that we have to dwell on it, but I mean that is the point. There are societies outside of Western Europe,
and not only that, but then also similarly tangentially related to that, it's just the fact that, like, there are very predictable, patterns in the solar system, whether they're comets, whether they are rotations and, different figures in the sky. Like, they have accounts of, Halley's Comet documented in China at a certain point in time. And of course, even though it's on the record here, you can count backwards or forwards from there and document that. So,
okay.
yeah, it gets even way more specific, but like you can start to see how this really starts to unravel a little bit, unfortunately.
Yeah. So not to... what's his name? Illig? Herbert?
Herbert.
That's
how I pronounce it.
Okay. Good enough. Herbert.
Yeah.
Thank you. Herbert. Whatever. When did he come up with this?
It was in the early 90s.
Okay. And I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that like most of science and archaeology and etc. didn't necessarily take him seriously.
Have you ever heard of this guy before, ever?
Okay, well,
have you ever heard of this theory?
I've kind of heard of the theory.
Sure.
In broader terms, not laid out like this, and I'm not even sure what the name, but shoot.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I mean, there's a couple of theories related to like time in general and missing time and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think this one sometimes get confused with a few of those, but okay, let's come back to. I hate to get us back on track, but you get it. So in terms of the actual, historical events and outside of Europe, these things being recorded, that's not missing from the calendar per se. And then of course, when he was talking about the Roman architecture showing up and why is it still here when clearly the Roman Empire fell beforehand, the simple solution there is to this day we build Roman-inspired architecture.
Yeah.
Buildings have columns.
You're not wrong.
So
yeah.
Not the most sound fundamental principle to rest your theory on.
Fair enough.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the cool stuff here as it relates to calendaring, because this is math. Math is science. Science is always right.
Science is knowledge. Knowledge is power.
Thank you.
The more you know.
Yeah. I want to get that drop.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Okay. Anyway, so thinking about the fact that it's not just about, missing evidence, right? It's truly about a calendaring issue here that Mr. Herbert Illig founds his theory. So to get into this, I have to talk about something that's inherently confusing and messed up. And I spent way more time than I ever intended to studying calendar systems, only to be able to break it down in a way that makes sense, kind of, to make this theory kind of make sense, because it's really messed up, Tim. It's really messed up. Okay, so what I have to say is, to understand how calendars work, you got to keep in mind that actually for a really long time, more than 2,000 plus years, humans figured out that there's 365 days in a year, more or less.
Yeah.
Actually, always more.
0.25.
And this is the rub. The 0.25.
Oh.
Probably okay, we'll get into this in a sec. But what I'll say is, before the Julian calendar was implemented or established in the year 46 BCE, because of the 36.25-ish days in a year, depending on who was in power was in charge of the calendar, and depending then on how much power they wanted, or if they were in trouble and other figures, they could fudge the calendar to make those years a little bit longer, a little bit shorter.
Oh, wow.
So it was...
Really?
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, okay.
So what they did was, when I say they, I mean the Romans, right? So in 46 BC, the Julian calendar was implemented to finally put an actual formal structure in place for Europe specifically.
Yeah.
And while they, of course, were still following this 365.25 day calendar year, there's more that goes into this math. And fast forward about 1,600 years to the year 1582, and the Gregorian calendar was implemented or adopted.
Right? Okay.
And that's the calendar we have today, folks.
Right.
So if you don't like it, take it up with Greg.
Sure. But I mean, I think there's still societies, sects, different religions, and so on that still follow the old Julian calendar.
Correct. I believe it's, I won't speculate.
Doesn't
matter. You're
Yeah.
exactly right. That's true. And so it's not out of date. It's just not used anymore.
Yeah.
And of course, in other countries, you have the lunar calendar, right? You do also then have like the solar year, like the tropical year, like all these different kind of confusing things. But what you need to know is fundamentally at the end of the day, equinox to equinox, 365.25 days.
Yes. Cool.
So let's talk about how you suddenly have then, in addition to the evidence I talked about before, you now have a math problem which accounts for these 300 or so odd years.
Yes.
So what Herbert Illig asserted, and you got to just hang with me while I try to break this down, okay?
Okay.
He was basically asserting that 365.25, we all know, actually isn't really the right math. Even that's a rounding of the numbers.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 365.24219 rotations per, of the Earth per year.
Yeah.
Which is why every 4 years
Yep.
we add the extra day in a leap year because we have to account for that rounding. The problem is in the aggregate of doing this math. When you lay it out over hundreds of years, that, rounding error essentially becomes a much bigger problem. And so, in fact, what's happening is every 128 years, you have this extra day that gets added via some really fancy, crazy math. And so when you aggregate these years and these rounding errors over the course of the time that between the Julian calendar being implemented and the Gregorian calendar being implemented, you essentially had a rounding error that came out to be about 347 years of vacant time.
Oh, wow.
According to Herbert Illig.
Okay.
Now,
I mean, I'm following more or less.
It's hard, and it's hard because there are a lot of numbers in how this formula is laid out, and there are different ways of accounting for this quarter day that needs to get added into a full day every couple of years.
Yeah.
But what Herbert Illig was asserting was that wasn't actually taken into account, and therefore in changing between these two calendars, then you actually lost 300 years, and therefore that's how that accounts from a mathematical standpoint.
Did he not say at the beginning that it was more of like a power grab? Well,
that was also part of this theory too, right?
Okay.
So it's like you get the power grab, you've got the archaeological evidence. Oh, and by the way, the math checks out in such a way that it backs up my theory.
Okay. So it's not one or the other. It's
correct.
Got it.
Correct.
Okay.
They all kind of work together.
Weird.
But there are systems in place, and there were systems in place for the Julian calendar and the Gregorian calendar to take into account this rounding error. And it basically gets into this whole thing where, every 128 years, they have to add back in another year and then subtract another one 4 years later. It's the goofiest thing you'll ever hear about. However, the point is they've accounted for that. And so therefore, fortunately or unfortunately, it's 2021. It's not, 1724 or whatever right now.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Shoot.
So I know.
But I mean, not even to mention every 76 years, Halley's Comet whizzes by, whether you're on the Julian calendar or the Gregorian calendar or something else completely different. That will happen very consistently. For as long as humans have walked this earth.
Oh, exactly. And like I said, if you think about it, if you just start with the fundamental principle that, from one equinox to another, it's 365 days. And maybe, there's a quarter day in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, maybe.
How much of a difference does it really make?
Shoot. I mean, it seems unfortunate that this guy... really, I assume he wrote a book and probably went on a lecture circuit or something and tried to, it seems very debunkable.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's really? How did this get past the publisher? Come on, dude.
Well, for me, it was point number one, missing archaeological evidence. Well, there's a bunch of stuff missing anyways, so we can't assert that as the thing. Then getting into the Roman architecture and the calendar stuff, which to me is pretty easy to show that it's not true, I guess.
Yeah.
Via math.
Right.
And I'll leave that to the mathematicians, and this is just my summary, but
shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes you wonder, did he actually believe it? And it's obviously we're not going to get an answer, but it's I wonder, in his heart of hearts, was he all in, or did he start to write and he's shoot. Well, I'll keep going anyway. Like, it's a fun enough story. It's not hurting anyone necessarily. Like,
point.
what the heck?
What difference does it make?
What difference does it make?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Fair
Hats
enough.
off to Mr. Illig, I guess.
So I got to ask then, Tim, where
Yeah.
do you come down? Are you all in or all out or somewhere in the middle?
I'm somewhere in between. Jury's out. I need to go digging for some artifacts in the 700s, 800s. Yeah.
Get out there, get in the backyard.
Right. I want to get him on the phone. I want to get him in the studio here and be like, dude, like, really?
Tell us more.
Tell us more. I'm all ears. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be with you.
Sounds cool to me.
I want to believe it, but like, not seeing it yet, buddy.
Seriously, dude.
Oh well. You?
All in, baby.
Cool. Nice. All right. So that was part 1. Loved it. Wanted more. Wish it wouldn't have stopped so soon. But you mentioned there was a part 2. I completely forgot what it was. I think you said John Titor. I don't know. What are we talking about?
We are talking about historic time travelers.
Okay.
People that have been caught? Red-handed.
Oh, nice.
Time travel.
Yeah.
And this isn't just your your typical John Titor. I mean, this is more objective.
Okay.
This is you have science fiction and you have science fact. This is science fact because we're talking about time travelers that have been caught on camera time traveling, and boy does it freak me out. Are you?
I like it. Look, I've just ask me where I'm at so far.
Where you at, baby?
All in, like,
baby.
All in. I want to believe this so bad. This is okay. Here's a random tangent for you. You want a good time traveling book? 2 books actually. I think they both won Hugos and Nebulas. But anyway, Blackout is the first one. All Clear is the second one. Basically, the premise. Get this: historians from the future time travel in order to learn about the past, and it's so cool because, like, basically what happens, these people go back to World War II to learn more about World War II, and they get stuck and they got to live through World War II and all this stuff. But the reason I went down this weird book review / rant is that one of the things, like the main thing they need to account for when they do this, A, don't mess up the past, B, don't get caught. Like, don't walk in front of a TV camera. Don't, pose for a picture. Don't do anything that would draw attention to yourself. Like, I think, Zach, when, not if, but when we develop the technology to time travel, that's going to be like page number 1 on the instruction manual when you take it out of the box. Don't get caught.
I think so too. And I guess, I don't know how you get around some of this stuff because we're living in a society ever increasingly, that's being monitored, whether it's advertently or inadvertently. Because, like, for instance, it could be somebody just taking a picture and you're walking in the background versus...
I mean, it's hard to walk down the street without a security camera picking you up or someone's doorbell, as you walk down the sidewalk or whatever.
Exactly. And that's kind of the advertently piece I was talking about, is like actual surveillance, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I think to your point exactly. Point number 1, hey, don't get caught. Don't mess around with the past.
So blend in, act natural, be cool.
What would the point of being able to time travel back in history and then not mess with history? Like, what would the point be?
To observe.
Just to watch?
Watch,
hang out?
learn.
Okay.
Why not?
I'm cool with that.
Cool, good.
What year would you go
glad.
back to, real quick?
What? Where? When?
What year?
Probably like 700-ish.
Would you really?
I don't know.
Time.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Didn't Crichton write a book about that? And like they all went back and they got the plague or something.
I was going to say
like 15 minutes.
Pick a year with some decent like music and or medicine.
Oh shoot, I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't
Woodstock.
even know. Woodstock. Yeah, go to Woodstock. Be one of the 40 million people that have claimed to be at Woodstock. Maybe they're all time travelers.
Buy Apple share.
Yeah, right? Yeah, get that Tandy computer stock or whatever.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, so anyways, I mean, do you believe that time travel is possible though?
I think it is theoretically possible. I think
you're
don't
right,
quote
too.
me on that.
No,
But
I
think it's theoretically possible, but like so enormously out of our reach that it's like just observe.
Yeah, no, it's like an atom was observed in, like
Right.
reverse time or whatever. It's like, okay, that's great. Who
Cool,
cares?
but no practical. Yeah, right.
Exactly. Okay, so I have some very, very famous pictures of time travelers caught red-handed. They were caught,
But they're black and
red-handed.
white photos, right?
Some of them.
Okay, good.
But they were caught red-handed.
Okay.
Time traveling.
Okay,
So
show me, man. I want to see this stuff.
I want to break this down. Now, this is a time traveling hipster.
Yes, dude, I've seen this. Okay, it's
Describe
a crowd.
them.
It's a crowd of people. I'm gonna say like what, 40s, maybe 50s, and they're just a random subsection of Americana, and they're all looking in one direction. People with their hats and their coats and their ties, kind of formal, and then just sitting there, trying to blend in.
Yes.
Is a flippin' hipster. This guy has just awesome sunglasses, a hairdo that does not fit the time. He's got this cardigan and what looks like a screen print t-shirt.
Yes, that's the smoking gun.
Well, okay, guys, by the way, I assume you all know this. We video record these episodes and we're putting them up on YouTube, even the Patreon ones here for you. So check it out so you can see this photo we're talking about. He looks minimally way out of place, but like honestly, what's going on with that?
To me, it's bonkers. It's like, the haircut's one thing, the sunglasses another thing. He's surrounded by people in like top hats. And I don't even know what those hats that are called.
Yeah, but just like the 1940s hats,
Yeah,
the
so
hats
classic.
everyone wore all the time.
Yes.
Everyone wore a hat.
men and women. And then you just have him right there, like just
looks like,
chilling.
yeah, he's just like, hey, dudes.
And that shirt is, honest to God, it looks like a screen print. Like, yeah, I can't go any further on that point. So that one
It's
is
so weird.
wild.
I mean, what do you think?
This one I am not as like all in on as maybe some of the other ones we have.
He
Like,
just probably looks like a cool dude.
yeah, he's just
but
hanging out. He's like
just-
the original hipster. We caught him in the
That
wild.
is- Yeah, Mr. Robert T. Hipster right there.
Mr. Robert T. Hipster, indeed.
I don't know. It's bizarre, though. It's really bizarre. What are they looking at? Do you have any idea? Does the caption even say?
No, it doesn't, but it looks as if they were, it was like some sort of opening ceremony for a bridge, but I don't know specifically what they're looking at within that. So
The clock towers.
I'm sure. Exactly right. Okay. The next creepy time traveler photo, the one where we have an actual time traveler caught red-handed here in black and white, is from the scene of Charlie Chaplin's 1928 silent film, The Circus,
Okay. Nope, keep going. Sorry.
in which you, dear listener, will see somebody talking on a cellular telephone.
What year is this movie?
1928.
Okay. I almost wish I hadn't seen this before now, so you could have got like my real-time reaction when I saw this, like,
Sure.
I don't know, 10 years ago. Do you have the video or the GIF or whatever? Or do you just have the still?
Well, in this one I have this still, but I suppose we could probably find.
Have you seen the video?
No.
Oh, dude. Okay, so let me describe it by memory.
Because the picture is like compelling. I mean,
Oh, okay. Well, let me see the picture first. Let me just.
they kind of zoomed in on what was going on there.
Yes. Okay. So this is a zoomed in picture, and it's part of a scene. I think it's a woman. I think it doesn't matter.
Okay.
This person is in the background walking from right to left, and they're not the focal point of the scene. In fact, it's just kind of like a crowd scene, more or less, and you wouldn't even catch it necessarily. But this person is walking with their left hand up to their head, right where you would hold a phone, okay? And also talking. Okay, so I mean, it'd be one thing to just be like walking with your hand next to your head. It's like, okay, well, that's out of the ordinary, but whatever. But they're talking. Like, why? In 1928, was it?
Yes.
In 1928, why would you, like, what is the explanation of a person And there's no one around them. They're not
right.
like, there's no one in front of them, no one behind them, no one next to them. They're not talking to anyone else. Like, how do you what is the explanation?
Well, and furthermore, like in 1928, obviously now kids run around, they have their hand up to their,
Sure.
ear, and like that
but they're
motion,
emulating something that is like already in existence.
Exactly. So in 1928, that wasn't a thing. I mean, it
Like
just wasn't.
you may have like the telephone literally mounted to the wall, and you hold the speaker to one ear, and you hold the talkie thing to the there, the talkie thing.
Yeah.
But it's like you're not going to be doing both in 1928, though. That's the thing, and I have a feeling you have more here. So I don't, but I'm not ready to move on yet because this one is so bizarre.
Yeah.
And I went down this rabbit hole like a while ago, and I like really, truly tried to figure out what the heck is going on because it's just so bizarre. Also, if you're a time traveler, why are you walking through a movie set? Talking on a cell phone seems, again, like a blatant, violation of the first rule of time travel.
Yeah, but can we just talk about, please, like a logical explanation for
Yes, and that's okay. So that's what I was getting. The explanation that I read is that before hearing aids, you could put like a cone or a horn up to your ear to hear better. Yeah. And maybe what this person was doing was trying to hear a conversation a little bit further away and also talking at the same time. But again, like you can't see anything in her hand.
Right.
So I don't know, man.
But the way that her fingers are appearing to wrap around something shows that she's like trying to hold something.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so strange, right? But you don't, see a thing, but there's kind of a shadow in there. I mean, it doesn't help. It's from 1928.
Yeah. I don't even know.
But the motion itself is interesting because, like you said, this isn't a natural motion even in a film to be doing anyways.
Yes.
And why would you be doing this while they're video recording? It makes no sense. So
it's bizarre. Oh, okay. So weird. Do you believe it?
No, but I love it. I want to believe it so bad.
I don't know what else it could be. But then again, there's no cell towers in 1928, so I don't know how they're doing.
That's like the ultimate debunker.
I know. Like
unless
there's a different sort of technology that we don't have yet.
They're communicating with the future via a frequency we haven't discovered yet.
There you go. Boom.
You don't need cell towers.
I believe it even more than 100% now.
Well, there's this whole genre of like people in mobile phones.
Really?
In fact, the next one here, again, I mean, this one, it's a painting, but like, and it's from 1670.
Really?
And what's funny is like the person holding up the alleged cell phone. It actually looks like a cell phone. Like you can see the screen. So let me show you this picture. I love this one. Maybe I like this one more than the last one.
What is that?
I mean,
what is it? Okay, so it's I can't tell you like what.
I can give you the
recap. Okay,
but,
so yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. So it's like an inside. You're looking inside of a house, and then you can see through the windows the outside there, whatever. And there's a dog in the foreground. There's a woman sitting on a chair, but it just right there. Taking up, 1/3 of the right side of the painting, there is a guy standing there in his right hand holding a cell phone.
And you can see the screen, too.
You can see the screen. Now, what? Okay.
What apps does he have?
Yeah.
Angry Birds.
Okay, so yeah, he's got Spotify open.
Oh, cool.
I can't see what's on his play. No, okay, but like seriously, is that like a playing card or just like a smaller painting or what is that?
Well, the only thing I could think of was maybe a mirror.
Okay.
Because it's not a book. Like you might say
it's not a book.
Right. You would say, maybe
it's rectangular.
Yep.
It's thin. He's holding it like you would hold a cell phone.
It's just hard to say, but to me. And I
love it though.
I love it too. It's like it's actually really super interesting, and quite frankly, it does look like a cell phone. It's not like speculation. It just looks like a cell phone.
Kind of does.
Another one in this same vein here is from 1943 in downtown Reykjavik. You've got a guy, and I'll show you this picture here in a sec. He's standing amongst soldiers and other folks, and He's straight up talking on a cell phone.
Oh, yeah. No, he is. He is. There's just a guy leaning against a building with an overcoat and a hat on, trying to blend in, but he straight up has a cell phone in his right hand held up to his ear. There's no two ways about that. That's weird.
It's really weird.
That's really weird, dude.
Like the guy actually, and like it's still a little grainy, but it's much, much, much better than the previous Chaplin picture. Right, so easy to tell. But sorry, the next picture already got me. But this one legit looks like he's actually talking on a cell phone. Okay, now let's get out of the genre of people talking on cell phones. Let's get into a little weird oddity. Now, if you remember the Ancient Astronauts, the Chariots of the Gods episode we did. Yeah. The idea being that we were visited on Earth thousands of years ago, if not hundreds of years ago, by aliens. Mm-hmm. And it's displayed in architecture. Now, Eric von Däniken laid out a few theories that I thought were a little bit fabricated. But Tim, this one is awesome. There is a sculpture from the year 1513. I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to show you the picture. I want your instant reaction.
Oh, God. That's an astronaut.
It is.
They got moon boots on.
The whole getup.
Oh,
oxygen
no, this
tanks.
is weird.
Yeah, dude.
No, I'm not feigning anything.
No, I know. You haven't seen this before.
This is straight up weird.
From 1513. It's in Spain.
Okay, 1513. There is a human with a helmet, a round helmet, and it's not like
a holy symbol thing.
No, it's a helmet with like a little face mask thing on the side.
That's right.
There's a box on his chest. I mean, he's wearing like large clothing, minimally.
Yeah.
It's a spacesuit.
With tubes.
With tubes coming out of this thing. And all the way down to his boots. The boots are treaded like moon boots, like what Neil Armstrong wore on the moon. When I say moon boots. This is straight up weird. I don't know what to say. Like, seriously, what's the official explanation? I could look at that all day. That is really weird, dude. That's not some Mayan painting where they say it might be a spaceship. That is what would the 1513 equivalent, like, they didn't have like scuba gear. Like, what is that?
I don't know. Now, I hate to say this, there's a rumor that perhaps a local artist played a little prank.
Okay.
Which might explain it. But still, it looks like, I'm looking at this thing, I'm like, yeah, it looks really...
Well, without seeing, because it looks like it's maybe part of a building or something like that.
Exactly.
Without seeing more in context, like... That looks like an astronaut. I don't know. I can't really say anything different.
Okay. One more before we get into my final genre of time travelers caught red-handed. I want to show you one of my favorite picks, which is... I don't think you've seen this one either. I'm not going to describe it. I'm just going to show you the picture. Look at the soldier.
Dude, he's dabbing. He's straight up dabbing. He's on the side of like a World War II battleship, and he's dabbing. And if you don't know what dabbing is, I'm not going to do it for you for the camera. Zach will go ahead and dab.
Nope.
What? Like what? Okay. First of all, if you're a time traveler, don't go back in time and dab in front of a camera. Like, what? What?
Yes.
I don't know what to say about that. That's weird.
Is wild. I love it. I don't care that much what the stakes are or what the implications are. I love it. I think it's sweet.
So someone from 2018 went back in time to World War II
and
dabbed.
There you go. Yeah, 2018 is on point. Okay. My last and final favorite genre of time travelers
caught
red-handed is celebrities.
Oh.
So
okay.
The first one here being our guy, Jimmy Fallon.
Oh.
And I want
Friend
you
of
to
the pod, Jimmy Fallon.
Yep. I want you to take a look at the Marxist-Leninist revolutionary leader Mahir Khayyam, who was born in 1946 and died in 1972.
I would love to.
Tell me what? How do you explain this?
Well, I assume Jimmy Fallon is a time-traveling Marxist. Or his grandfather is a Marxist, or they share some sort of. That's
They look
the side by side is pretty uncanny.
Yes. And last but certainly not least, the smoking gun to prove the fact that time travel's real, and we've in fact caught many on camera red-handed. We've got none other than Greta Thunberg.
Oh, yeah.
Who is she?
She's the Swedish girl who took up the cause of climate change, and she's world famous for her activism.
Indeed. And there is a picture that shows a photograph from 1898, 3 children working at a gold mine in the Yukon. Tim, I mean, hello, it's her.
Yeah. It does look like her.
I mean, no.
Like a lot.
It's her.
Oh, okay.
The same person.
Yeah, wow. Man.
Now, I heard, I mean, like, she has a very, like when you look at these two pictures, like, it looks like the same facial structure.
It really
the
does.
cheeks,
It
the eyes,
does.
the mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's like, okay, yeah, that's obviously the same person. But what I've heard, and I mean, I hope this isn't a rumor, so I'll just say it's alleged. Allegedly, Greta Thunberg doesn't take airplanes.
That's true.
So she takes ships.
Yep.
And the theory is because she's a time traveler, warning us about all of these different dangers and things. Now, although she's maybe from the past or maybe from the future, it doesn't matter. She doesn't fly because it's not technology she's familiar with. She takes boats. That's what she's most comfortable with.
Oh, okay.
So,
anyways. That makes sense. That checks out.
I mean, I think
I'm all in now.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But it looks just like her, if nothing else.
It looks exactly like her.
It's the same
Like
person.
without being hyperbolic, like it looks exactly like her.
I know. It's like when if they have a picture of me and then Fabio, you're like, it's the same dude.
I can't believe it's not Zach.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. So there we go. So Tim, I will say, we're not going to go too much further down this rabbit hole, but you can see.
Yeah. I'm all in.
It's interesting. I love it. This stuff is just, rampant speculation.
Time is relative, I guess, right?
That's true. That's very, very true.
Now, that's some good stuff. That's some fascinating stuff. Kind of ran the gamut here.
Indeed.
All over the place.
Indeed.
I love it. All right, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in. We love it when you listen. We love it when you rate and review. Wait, no. You guys have already rated and reviewed and subscribed, I think. So,
yes.
Thank you. No, seriously. Without joking, you guys truly help make this podcast keep going, and we can't thank you enough. So, thank you. Really. And tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell a time-traveling magician with a cell phone or something. I don't know. Tell someone. Yes. Tell John Titer. Tell John Titer's cousin about our show, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.